Assalamu alaikum. I hope that my previous video, my reflections on Tawaf, brought some insights or some deeper meanings to any of you who's contemplating about making Hajj or um, putting forth this intention to do this requirement for Muslims. And I hope that it gave you some insights there. So as promised, I mentioned that today I'm going to be talking about Sa3i, and the Sa3i is the journey of Sayyidah Hajar, wife of Prophet Ibrahim, going back and forth between two hills in an effort to find somebody or something to keep her company or to help her with supplies and so on. So here is where it's an amazing experience that Prophet Ibrahim had received a command from Allah to take Sayyidah Hajar and their son Ismail to this holy valley where there's no plants, there's there's nothing in this valley. And here he left her by herself and left. And this is an amazing story. But let me share the screen here also so that you can get an idea about what I'm talking about as well. So here is, of course, these are my reflections on Hajj and Sa3i. And here is a picture, and I'm using my own pictures and videos, by the way. So I noticed that on YouTube, the motion of the tawaf or the motion of the people on the video is a little bit choppy. But please bear with me. And I think I'm not very tech savvy, but I'm sure that you get the picture and get an idea about what I would love to show you. So here's part of one of the hills of Safa. And here is where, like you get a depiction of what it looked like. You get just an idea. And of course, the Saudi government is doing a great job maintaining those sites and at the same time making it comfortable for people who go for Hajj to be comfortable as well, especially during summer months, like what I've gone through this month of July. And it was, of course, extremely hot out there, but inside it's absolutely wonderful with the air conditioning and so on, which I'm very grateful for. Of course, you cannot imagine when Sayyidah Hajar back then has gone through this experience. I have no idea what the weather was like, but like it can give you, some ideas about how it looked like. So the Sa3i is really an amazing ritual, part of Al-Hajj. And it depicts again the story of Sayyidah Hajar when, like being left by herself in this desert, in this valley, with nothing there except her faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, her faith in God. And that is why she asked Prophet Ibrahim, is that a command from God? And he said, yes, it's a command from God. So she went ahead with it, and she was very accepting of the situation. Her human emotions, of course, like after Prophet Ibrahim left, she was, of course, by herself in this area with no one there, just she and her baby. Her emotions, her human emotions, of course, explodes with fear for her baby because, after some time, supplies are running low. Her milk is drying up. Maybe her body is becoming frail, and it's really a tough time to think about. She panics. She goes back and forth. She's trying to find a solution. When her supply of food and water are running out, and her mind wanders. Of course, like the thing that kept her strong and that kept her going is her trust in Allah, and strengthened. And it keeps on, again, which the strange thing that with that trust in Allah, it was getting stronger and stronger, as she went back and forth between those hills. So she climbs a Safa hill, looks beyond the horizon. Maybe there's a caravan, maybe there is a nomad, or there's somebody passing by, to accompany her, give her supplies, or help her in one way or another. But we know, of course, that Prophet Ibrahim had made a supplication, that he asked God, and he asked him to have people go there for, in that valley, to go there with them, with his wife and with his son. So, and we know that this supplication has become true until this day, until, as I wrote those words, as I'm talking with you today, a lot of people are there. A lot of people go there every time. If it's not for Hajj, it's for Umrah, which is a smaller depiction of Hajj. So when she's going back and forth, again, her confidence is increasing that Allah will not forsaken her, that God's not going to leave her alone, and something will happen. Something will happen there. So as I went through a Sa3i, and I would imagine the kind of emotions, being a mother myself, and the kind of emotions that she had gone through while trying to figure out the wisdom behind this order, this command from Allah to Prophet Ibrahim, and to take her in this place. So she must have the strongest faith and the strongest trust in Allah's command that no doubt was present, to shake her confidence. And I wondered why we are to depict her experience. Why are we supposed to go through what she had gone through, and while we're doing Hajj or Umrah? So going from one hill to another hill, 7 times. Again, the number 7, that's another story by itself that needs a longer explanation. But here I'm focusing on a Sa3i. And of course, the Tawaf also, we mentioned 7 times. There's the inner, deeper meaning that we think that we know, but sometimes, we just have to keep on thinking, what is behind all of this. So it must be that building that confidence and trust in Allah that should never be doubted, that we know that her prayers were answered, that the prayers of Prophet Ibrahim's supplications were answered. And there is one supplication specifically that, of course, Prophet Muhammad والسلام, when he was doing Sa3i, he would say, a lot of supplications, and a lot's written in the books, that we accompany with us, or we take with us to Hajj and Umrah to read from and repeat and so on. But there was one supplication in particular, and especially that there is this part here, if you see this picture in the middle with the green lights on top, and it's a long stretch where this sort of like area, she would hurry and run a little bit faster during that time. And she would say those special words. I'm going to say them in Arabic, and I'm going to do my best to translate them. And that is, Rabbi اغفر وارحم واعفو وتكرم وتجاوز عما تعلم إنك تعلم ما لا نعلم إنك أنت الله الأعز الأكرم. So here is, again, she's saying, I'm translating the best of my ability. So, my God, forgive and bestow mercy, pardon and bestow your generosity, transcend over what you know what we don't know. You are Allah, the most cherished, the most generous. Praising Allah and His oneness, again, this supplication, we repeat it every time we go during this stretch of hurrying. It just gives so much confidence and strength, and just this trust, again, in Allah, that for His oneness, for His forgiveness, for His mercy, yearning for His, generosity, His pardon. This is all an example of love and connection with God, connection with Allah, and the hope that's building up inside of us as we're doing this, even for our own supplications when we're going through this. What we want to have happen in our lives, what are we yearning for, what do we want in the future, asking also for forgiveness for what has happened, in the past, transcending over all material things, and when we're talking about Allah transcending, and over what He, He knows, of course, everything behind the commands. He knows everything, the wisdom. His wisdom is beyond our own comprehension sometimes. So going through this feelings of love and connection and hope, asking for things for our future and for our children and for our lives and for the afterlife, of course, we're acknowledging all that Allah knows, and we're acknowledging what He has stored for us in His wisdom and in His in those commands, even that He had given us in the Quran and in our religion and through Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. So again, this level of connectedness, connection with Allah, it just give us this inner peace and fulfillment. I wanted to put inner peace and fulfillment together, and it came inner. So anyway, it's this inner peace and fulfillment that just fills our hearts when we're doing that. Sayyidah Hajar knew that there was a deep wisdom in Allah's commands to send her and her child in this place, in this particular place. And she knew deep in her heart that Allah will take care of her and her child. And of course, Prophet Ibrahim had the same kind of confidence, or else he wouldn't have left. As we go back and forth 7 times between those 2 hills, enacting Hajar's experience, we make those supplications, we develop this deep connection and praise with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and having that confidence and trust that He will take care of us in the way that He sees best for us. We go through this experience and come out with full trust and confidence in Allah's commands. So these are just some reflections. I know there is more inside of me that needs to come out, and I'm going to be sharing with you again, my reflections about the day of Tarwiyah, and that's the day before we go to Arafat, and the day of Arafat. And those reflections, there's so much that I would like to share with you, but at least you're getting a picture of what I'm talking about. And here is where, again, coming back from Hajj to reality, to world, it's not that this is fantasy, but it's real things that happened in the past that we are trying to reset our inner compass, our inner humanity, to become better, to be the best versions of ourselves. At the same time, coming to life, to practical life, it is a challenge. And here is where our trust and confidence in Allah that stays with us, that's what we want to keep on holding on to after we go through Hajj, after we go through this experience. And sometimes you don't necessarily have to go through this experience if somebody cannot afford to go to Hajj. And, they can build this trust and confidence in them by relating to the Quran and relating to what's being said in the Quran and Allah's commands in the Quran. This is the way that Allah is communicating with us when we read Quran. So I wish that this resonated with you somehow, and I wish that next time you will join me also in my reflections about the day of Tarwiyah. So I'm taking you little by little as we're going through Hajj here. So thank you so much for listening and for being a partner with me in this journey.